And the thing
Yeah,
to note is that new construction, what Sanchez is bringing to the table, that's a whole department of your career in itself.
correct.
So, like, don't look at real estate as a whole. Like, I'm a realtor, I sell real estate. You want to have a I make this amount in new construction. I make this amount in rentals. I make this amount in property management. Your
Right.
license just covers you to do real estate related activities on behalf of others in exchange for money.
Right.
So definitely expand it, broaden it, but you have to talk about it. Like that's the important thing of all of this. So I'm gonna show you real quickly, kind of just when people ask me these questions, like, so what do you think of the market? What's going on in the market? I'm confident everyone's getting asked the same question. So it's best that we can be able to answer it. Cause once you answer it publicly and like one person hears you, I don't know why. It's like you open up chips, like everyone just kind of swarms around you, like, oh, you talk about the market? What you talking about? So here we go. Share screen. Okay, so right here, I'm on floridarealtors.org. When we spoke to Kevin and Lori, I think they went over this, but this is really where I go to just look at all market stats, which is the gist of all you really need to look at to really give them these answers. I'm gonna just explain it
Go
because
ahead.
it was just stressing me out and I don't need that negativity in my life.
Go ahead. Take a
So
moment.
if you can get logged in to your floridarealtors.org, I actually think I've done it and sent the video of it before, and I'll just reiterate that. I'll bring it back up. But it just shows you what's going on. It'll show you there's X amount of properties on the market in this county. This is the median sale price this month compared to what the median sale price is that was that month. So what you're doing is you're looking at it and you can physically look and see the market is going up or the market is going down. And then that's literally just what you're going to tell them what's going on. From what I'm understanding is I think interest rates are around like what 7%. Whereas there was a point in time people were buying houses and getting away with the threes. Some people were doing low too. So that just gives you like a gauge of how much of a spike that is. And the interest rate alone has a really big impact on the house you can buy because let's just say this house at this price will be $2,000 a month with a 2% interest rate. But this is not going to be an accurate number. But let's just say they give you the same house at a 5% interest rate, with the same down payment and everything. Now you're at say 2,400, 2,500. So they're not going to approve you for that much house. So that is pretty much the reason people are kind of slowing down because when you go out there and you see listing agents saying you have to buy this house and sign to give me $20,000 over whatever the appraisal comes in at, that freaks people out and it makes people feel like it's not for them. So we kind of have to figure out a way to explain it to them to make them feel comfortable. Not everyone's going to be able to be explained and, talked off the ledge like that. So it causes them to hold off. And what happens when a lot of people hold off from buying? A bunch of houses are left on the market. Also, a lot of people are going to renting. And that explains why our rental market is spiking so high, right? And then it's higher than, hey, Enrique, it's higher than normal. Like it's higher than, I guess you would say 2,200, 2,300, a little couple $100 increase because it's such a significant, overwhelming amount of people looking to rent. Whereas back in the day, you would have a rental listing and you may get 1 to 3 applications. Now you're getting 10 to 15 applications. So they have to raise the prices up and up until they kind of slow down and see, okay, now we're kind of stabilizing. And then what owners are doing now is to get the max market that they could possibly get, they're doing full on renovations on these properties. And now they're calling them luxury housing, which takes you into a whole nother bracket. So imagine if the whole city just said, screw getting entry level markets, I'm going to fully renovate and go for luxury rentals. If the whole area does that, it changes the whole area in itself. You get what I'm saying? So that is how that happens. And a lot of people will say, oh, it's gentrification. But imagine if you're a homeowner in this area, it's kind of in your benefit because every upgrade now goes that much further. And then now you can answer these questions on, so what do you think of Airbnb? Well, I think it's great because it pushes you to fully renovate your property to really get these up-to-date things. And our license also covers us to manage property. So let's not forget that. If you fill a rental listing vacancy for someone, you can also add on a management agreement at 10% a month. You see what I'm saying? So just kind of take advantage of the momentum off any little deal or any traction you get. So if I give you a lead, don't just close that lead, market yourself with that lead, try to expand, try to get a referral from that lead and really just see how far each thing can take you and open up these different avenues. So probably call Sancher a bit more. You can go visit her office and get some content, get some information to talk about with these people, because they're going to ask you, what do you think of new construction? So having talked to Sancher, you have all this information and things that you can answer and say when they ask you, what do you think of this? And I think that's the biggest way to kind of network and move your way around this whole sales river. Because marketing can't be the only thing you do. You got to back it up when they ask you a question.
Right. And so the biggest thing that new construction offers over like regular sales is that with those incentives, you're able to do three things really big with incentives, right? So it's easy to say, hey, they're giving us $20,000 towards closing costs. All right, so how does that benefit me, right? So knowing what closing costs even has on it is very important for you to know, like, what are things that they're saving on that they would have otherwise have been paying out of pocket. So let me see if I can share my screen with it.
I got you. I'll make you a admin.
And if you have questions, you can stop me or Kay. We definitely can go on a tangent like really quick, easily.
Yeah, there's no real main goal to this meeting other than I just felt the need to tell all of y'all this same thing. And I wanted to just answer any and all questions anyone had, or even set up the next training if there's something y'all want us to focus in on this or next week.
Right. All right. So with new construction, when they offer you, like, let's say $20,000 or no closing costs, but what's really important is that $20,000 no closing costs, right? So if you're able to save your buyer zero and have zero closing costs, all they have to now save up for, if they don't already have this saved up, is their down payment. So let's say, for instance, right now on the screen, I have a payment example of what a payment would be for one of my townhomes, right? It still falls into the FHA price point. So let's say $450 just for easy numbers. And it's a Vents model. So at $450, and something to remember always, if you ask this question when you're with your clients in front of realtors, in front of the salesperson at the office, is how much is the home site premium? Because knowing that, saying that, let them know that you are making sure that you get the bottom line number out the door, and not just a number that can change when it's time to go under contract. So the home site premium is if you have a lake view, if you have let's say we had hills, mountains, or whatever, or if it's a private home site, it could cost more based on what the home seller is charging. So it could range from $0 to maybe $70,000 for some lots. Most of my lots are like $15,000, right? So just for example, that final price will be $465 for the home, right? If they still qualify, they'll qualify for FHA loan. That's 3.5%. All they need to save is $17,000. If they already have this in their bank, most likely the builder is gonna ask you to pay that whole amount when you sign the contract, right? If they already have that, that's all they're paying to get the keys to their home, right? Mm-hmm. That's almost like 3 times, 4 times the rent, like what some of these rental people are asking for their luxury listings. So if you have $17,000, or you could save $17,000, you can buy a new construction home.
So I think the key point of that is to, I guess, get people comfortable about it. Because the biggest thing is they'll hear new construction and they'll freak out. And you just really have to understand the whole key point of this whole thing we're doing here is get comfortable explaining things. Just get comfortable gathering the information. So get all of this information and soak it in from Sancher, take notes, and I guess see if she has a pamphlet to send you. So when people say, I thought about buying a new construction home, you can hit them with the, well, did you know that all you need is, and then you just start flowing, and then you show that knowledge, and the first thing they're going to say is, well, can you help me do it? Because you clearly know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And another thing too, most builders would take even less than what the LTV is. So this number right here, from a lender standpoint, is the LTV, right? So that is what they, like, if they're giving them a 5% conventional, 10% conventional, 80%, it depends on what the bank is giving. So the LTV, the remaining balance is what they're paying for their down payment. So if the bank was giving them a 95% conventional loan, right, it would be 5% that they're paying towards the cost of their home. So this money is not just going to the builder. It's not just going in air. This is how much money they're putting to buying their home, right? They're not losing it. It's a down payment, and the bank is going to finance the rest. So the home costs $465. They're putting up this much money, and then the bank is going to fund them the remaining balance. The more you put down, the lower amount you're borrowing, which will lower your monthly payments, right? And everybody's still following.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to piggyback on that part before I move down?
Just that it's also helpful, and I've seen people have success with downloading like a payment calculator, kind of similar to this, because you're not going to be able to access the specific Westview one. But I used to have the Zillow mortgage app. And then you could just do little mock-ups and shit and screenshot it and post it like, oh, look at this estimate I just came up with. Is this in? Because people will say like, oh, I can afford that. Oh, is that it? That's all it costs on 450. So that's the thing I'd like to just add on to this whole thing. But other than that,
correct. A lot of people don't know what 450 looks like monthly.
Right.
So breaking that down to them, because 450 is the new 350, right? Mm-hmm. Back in the day when you ask somebody, oh, well, how much you want to spend on the house? They say 350, have no idea why they're saying that, but that's just the number that was a golden number in real estate, 350. That's no longer the case in new construction. And that's why I said, not that I said it already here, but if you had a first-time home buyer class, or you hosted one before, it's a good time to re-invite those same people that attended that never bought yet, and let them know like the market is different. Okay, here's what it takes to be a new first-time home buyer in the state of Florida today, right? So what has changed is the FHA limit has changed. And qualifying, Fannie Mae is asking for different things to qualify. Some people think that they have to pay off certain debts and remove something, so they have to go through like a credit repair to remove things off of their things, when that can actually hurt them. The step that they need to take is to talk to a lender to know exactly what they need to do, because a lot of people think they need to pay off this, pay off that to even get a loan, when it's not the case.
That is true, because a lot of people will just they'll say, oh, I'm working on my credit, I'm fixing their credit. And then you'll ask them, well, what's your credit score? They'll say, oh, 680. And you're like, so what I always got in the habit of doing, like, no matter what they say their situation is, I would still always have my lender call them, no matter, as long as they're interested in buying. I'll say, well, I'll have my lender call you. She'll answer all of your finance related questions. And if you're ready to get pre-approved, she'll do it for you. And if she won't just say no. That's the biggest thing they like to hear. She won't just say no. She'll tell you, you need to do this, this, and this, and come back. That's a much better start. That's a way better way to start than just trying to do your own thing, because you would have did too much.
Right. Some people think, and I had somebody wrote me this morning at 8:30 in the morning, and she was like, hey, Sanshira, this is my last year renting. I want to buy a home next year, but I have some stuff I need to remove off my credit. Do you know somebody that repairs credit? I said, no, but I know a lender, because that's the first step. Finding out what the hell you need to even do on your credit to qualify for a home. You might be wasting money and fixing your credit and wasting time when you could qualify for a home with the credit that you got now. So find out if you can qualify with the credit you have now. And then if we need when we need our map and we map out what you need to do in order to qualify, I provide that service for you. I will hold your hand for the next 7-9 months to make sure that we get you into that home, because it takes steps. And that's a benefit with new construction. You're not closing in 30 days like most of our buyers are, because we need to pay our bills. These people will have time to build their credit to get a better interest rate, right? So if the credit that they have now could get them that loan promise, they have about 6-7 months to build their credit to get the lowest interest rate possible, or to even save up more money to have a lower down payment. So starting the process is easy, but finding a way to get your audience to trust you and to like not overthink the process to get it started is what's going to be like a deal breaker for you in this new market that's coming up.
Right. And it's important.
Questions so far before we continue?
It's just really important to note that in all of this, it's all going to sound great, but they're always going to come back to, but what do you think of the market though? Don't you think it's going to crash? Don't you think I should wait like 2 to 3 years? So that's why I really make sure you're looking at the stats and all this, just so you can have these answers. I had another thought, but I drew a blank. I didn't eat yet, as y'all can see, but go ahead, Sasha.
Any questions so far? Errol, I know you're really, really big on selling new construction. Is there any questions so far?
You're muted.
Sorry, no.
Okay.
The calculator seems to be a big thing, because that's one thing I run into all the time, is trying to explain that it's not going to be, $3,000 a month. It's going to be broken down and possibly lower than $1,000 a month with the when paying month to month with the mortgages. That's the only thing, is where I can find a calculator just like that.
Right,
Zillow,
yeah, I think
Zillow mortgage.
As Kate said, you could probably find like the Zillow mortgage calculator. There's some out there on the internet,
They're in the app store.
I know.
I'm usually just doing it by calculator.
No,
yeah,
man,
no. Quicken Loan has one as well.
They do, yeah, and just send that screenshot so that way it's not on you, because really we're not supposed to really go into the whole finance thing. That's more of a lender's job. So I'll send them a calculator, show them what it says, but it's really, really good and important to note that you notice what people are asking you a lot. So Errol just kind of point out people are often asking him about payment. So rather than having to call a lender every single time, he's trying to show them a little estimate. So definitely the Zillow mortgage app, Quicken Loan apps. Also, it's really good to have a lender that you enjoy working with. I'll try to put you in front of some to choose from, but some lenders may already have an app that they can give you that's already linked with like a apply now link. So really just talk to the lenders first. And what you'd want to do to kind of get this into a job is make your day-to-day goal to get as many people's number in front of your lender as possible. So that way your lender has this log of people that he or she is going to call, follow up, and then pre-approve or tell them how to get pre-approved, or tell them how to get pre-approved. And then they're going to come back to you as leads. So this is a whole lead generation thing now that all came from just kind of listening to what your commonly asked questions is, getting a calculator and learning from Sanchez.
And remember, I can help you with general questions as well, not just new construction, but new construction is a way because we're in a problem where we're looking for inventory in new construction, not just Lennar, my community, are creating that inventory that is the lack of in the state. So they're financing that, closing costs, prepaids, and builder fee. That's a whole nother class that Khalid and I could probably go through with what prepaids covers. It's really good as realtors to know some of the mortgage things, right? Because it helps us understand how to sell, and it helps us explain to our clients because they trust you. So just the basics, because you're not a lender, you're not licensed to advise and all that good stuff, but you can definitely educate, right? So right now, D.R. Horton, Lennar, Pulte, they're all looking for buyers right now, right? Because people are getting afraid to purchase. So they are offering crazy incentives. One of them being like, let's say they offer $25,000 towards closing costs. That is super exciting because that can take your closing costs down to $4,000. So their total investment to purchase their home, down payment and closing costs, will only be $20,000. And if they're buying a new construction home, they have about 6 to 7 months to save $20,000. If they're serious about buying, they're probably almost at that $20,000 already.
Mm-hmm. And in a market where people are saying you got to put 20,000, 30,000 above appraisal, a lot of people aren't thinking things like this exist. They aren't even fathoming a way to purchase with benefits. So we just have to really make them comfortable and let them know that this is out here and raise awareness.
Right. Perfect. Another class we probably do is that hometown heroes, right?
I've heard of that. Yeah.
It's the hometown heroes where the state of Florida is offering. That's a whole other class. Something that you guys could definitely push to generate leads, because you could just make a video and say, "Hey, have you heard about this hometown heroes?" Definitely reach out to your preferred lender and see if they're working with it, and then make a quick video about it. So that way you can generate some lead. It's like nurses, fire departments, teachers, and all that stuff. But it's a whole nother class because it's a second mortgage. It's a mess.
It goes back to the first point of looking on these resources and learning what's going on and what's being offered. Because if we can't put it all in front of you, but you can do that, just see, okay, I didn't know the city of Hialeah is offering this to first responders. I didn't know West Park, little things like that. You have to figure it out and get it in front of people because it's part of your job as a realtor. Because conversation, it's all conversation.
And keep in mind, this is a job. It's really hard to work for yourself. That's something I posted the other day.
It's so many moving parts.
With your buyer saving $25,000 that they would have normally had to pay, and if they still are able to save that $25,000, they can do 3 things. They can buy down their interest rates to make it more affordable, more comfortable. They could put that additional money that they save towards their down payment, the cost of the home. Or that could just be out-of-pocket savings that will help furnish, buy groceries, and all these other things when they move in.
The important thing to remember from what Sanchez just said, again, this is all full circle, is when you're having these conversations and they ask you, what do you think of? You can say, well, did you know you can buy down your interest rate? Did you know you can pay down? So again, they aren't thinking this is a thing. They're just thinking, I can't afford 465 right now because my cousin said so. You have to have this knowledge already ready to go. You can't wait for them to ask you the question and then figure it out, because now you look just as knowledgeable as them. So research.
We're giving a lot of information, so we probably don't have to break this up into two, because I don't want you guys to feel like when you get off the call, like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I need to start.
These are all examples. The main idea is to research as much as you can so you can reiterate it. But these are great examples that Sanchez is showing you, so you know what you want to ask her after this.
Right. Immediately write this down so you don't forget. Go on YouTube and search in buying down interest rates. Really as realtors, I want investment property gurus to know exactly the different options your buyer can have if saving money isn't a problem. Making money, if your buyer has money, saving it isn't a problem, because you're going to have some buyers that can afford $4,000 a month on their monthly payments, right? But for whatever reason, they have a hard time saving. So that closing cost is going to help them. They don't really need to buy down the interest rate because they can afford the monthly payments. But then you're going to have those buyers that want to buy down the interest rates. Let me show you what the difference between interest rates can do to your monthly payments, right? So if someone has an interest rate of 3.3, right, or 3.5, which was very popular not long ago, at 3.5, their mortgage payments would have been $31.76 for this house.
Can you make it 7 so I can see?
Huh?
Can you make it 7? I'm curious.
Oh, I am.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that where you were going?
It's gonna be scary.
Okay,
it's gonna be scary.
Go ahead.
Look, so this house with taxes, insurance. Okay, so remember your principal and interest? That's it right there. That is not a bad price if you find them a community that doesn't have HOA and low taxes. They could do that for a 3-bedroom, you know what I mean? That's right.
That's all right.
So you just have to find them that right community. My community has a CDD, high taxes, HOA, and all that good stuff. You're going to be like, no, I'm not going to take you this and share, because she's going to just add on things to your bills that you just don't want to add on, right?
But
so we're going to find you a community.
Rentals?
Huh?
But did you know they allow short-term rentals? So that's important to.
Correct. It's all about the right. So you can offset. It depends on your buyer profile, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So you're going to find them a community that doesn't have HOA, that doesn't have a CDD, and that has like very low taxes, right? So you're going to know what to look for in the MLS. So, my coworker's funny. So if they're at 7%, same exact profile, same exact buyers, same exact down payment, and we put them at what is in the market right now at 7%, that is their monthly payments.
That's unreachable now for some people. So $1,000,
where am I find that extra $1,000 at? So that is why a lot of people have stopped buying, because they no longer could qualify, because the bank wouldn't even qualify them for that money.
Right. So everyone's pre-approval just dropped. So whereas you were shopping for a house at $450, you may be shopping for $350, $375 now. You might not like what's out there, because not only is your pre-approval lower, but the houses are higher. So it just went like that. Like y'all want to try to see my hand motion. It went like that. So that's a big thing.
Even if I drop the house down to $100,000 at that same 7%, you're still much higher than that 3.5% on a higher priced home, right? You see how those numbers really matter, and how it's so important as realtors to understand how that numbers matter, because we're not just in a business to find them an address. We just need to make our buyers comfortable with what they can afford, so that they can refer you next year. They're not house drowning. They don't feel you took advantage of them. You gave them something that they can afford and that they love. And yes, at first they might not love the whole aesthetic of the house, but when they realize that they're not struggling to live, they're going to appreciate you much more that you took that extra time to make sure that they could qualify for that house, or make sure that they live in it. Because the lender, to be honest, the lender don't care, right? Not as much as you do. Because you're referring them to the lender. These are your family. These are your friends. These are your referrals. You want to make sure that you know at least the basics and how important it is, that interest rates. And it helps you to understand why some of your buyers stopped looking, right? So after your buyer goes to your lender and get that pre-qualification, you call your lender. You say, hey, what interest rate did you quote that? Was that with a buy down? Like, and now you understand your buyer and their frustration and kind of empathize with them if they decide to not look right now. You're like, yeah, I get it. $4,000. I don't even have $4,000.
Right.
And then you kind of like, now you tailor your market to people that does have $4,000 and that can afford to pay 35, 36 or whatever for a 3-bedroom. You know how to tailor your market to that. Go for people that has higher paying jobs. Market yourself at near hospitals. Market yourself on LinkedIn, and all that good stuff where people are able to afford that. Because if your cousin can't afford it, then why market to him? That's kind of selfish too.
Yeah. And it's important to note that marketing to these different targets, it doesn't mean marketing the same thing in different places. You're going to have to market yourself as a different professional, a whole different way with a different goal of that ad in different places.
Right.
Meaning like you're going to have to pick, that's when I kind of kept talking about the niches or niches. I don't know how to say it, but the niches. Also, I'm gonna call out some niches for y'all today, just so you can have like a list and kind of see what is gonna interest you. But drawing a blank. But the biggest thing, Satya, what did you just say? I'm sorry.
Oh, marketing to like.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a dad brain for me.
Yeah, you know what? You need food and sleep. Okay, that's what's going on. I'm gonna get it, but if you just reiterate what you said, I'll remember my point. It was a very good point.
So no, basically, just tailoring knowing what the interest rates and how it can affect your buyer profile is very important, because now you can tailor to a different audience. And Khalid was going to tell us a list of different niches that you can go after.
And also, I remember my point before that. So what I was going to say is another way that the interest rate thing affects us as working with buyers and sellers is that when you have a pre-approval and you get this great offer accepted, they're going to fall through a little bit more often now because affordability is now a factor. They may have started buying a year ago and haven't found anything and have never stopped. And now they finally found a house, but a year ago when they started, their interest rate was this and now it's this, but they never changed their budget. So now the loans drop. So now the listing agent is freaking out and now they're going to be more tedious about the next offer they send. So what does that mean now? All buyers agents have to send outlandish, extra hard offers, not because they have a ton of other offers, but because they're scared to take it. So that's
why too, what could get your offer accepted is already having a DU, a desktop underwriting from your lender to make your offers much stronger. Because the other person might just give them a one sheet paper saying, hey, they can afford 500,000. You're going to give them 12 pages that says, hey, I already looked, we already did employment verification, they got the credit, they got everything. The bank is for sure giving this person a loan. They got a conditional approval, they're ready to go. That can help your offer major from other people that's not doing that, because I'm telling you, your competition is not doing it.
Right. And the biggest thing that we can start all saying when people ask, what do you think of the market, is just bring up interest rates. Well, interest rates are up, but if you're able to get approved for a good enough interest rate, it's still a good time.
It's still a good time. It's still a really good time, especially now that that sellers are softening up. They're not as bullying as they used to be. So now is the perfect time for buyers to buy if they can afford the new interest rate. Right? It's all about affordability. You're not buying Jordans if you can't afford the Jordans. But you buy what you can afford. If you can afford the house, you buy it. And then you plan on living in the house for 7 to 10 years. So if the market does tank, you're comfortable where you are. You don't have to sell. But when it peaks again, because it will, then you have your exit plan. Right? And that's when you call me and we list your house and you move on to the next state. It's monopoly. So think of it as monopoly from you and from your buyer's perspective. So did we help you guys this morning, guys? Y'all quiet. We don't see y'all faces, so we don't know. Are we helping?
Yes.
Is it? Okay, good.
Yes. Yes, everything good.
All right. I'm sorry. I have so many thoughts that I'm just getting out, but I'm doing deals with like 4 of you right now. So you and y'all are all stressed out too. I know. So it's important to also note that real estate is like a pendulum. It's never going to do the same thing. When I started real estate, Invitation Homes was buying hundreds of properties cash at a time. Then they stopped and then they started selling them and listing them. Now, when you guys started real estate, there's this whole spike and now you're watching the interest rates go up, which you can't have a spike in prices and interest rates. It doesn't work. So now the main idea of that is we're all newer. but this situation is newer than all of us. So even the seasoned agents, just like us, have to go out and do this same research and figure out what's going on. No one really knows what's going on right now. So we can all collectively figure it out together. And then we're just all on the same playing field now. It's no longer a factor of who's new or who's been in real estate longer, because this is new to everyone. So that's why it's a really good time to start. As far as the niches, I just wanted to kind of call out some just so you can kind of think of, you don't need like permission or a green light to start your niche. You just do the marketing in it and say, this is what I do. So property management, we have TIPG management and consulting. I really think it's where we should be going, especially with buyers and sellers kind of freaking out. This is going to be your consistency. 10% a month, or whatever the monthly rent is. If you manage 10 properties, that's equivalent to owning one, right? Rentals, it kind of ties into property management, because you can do 10 rentals at a time. And then once you fill a rental listing, if that owner has a headache, put yourself in the field in front of them to, manage it. Working with buyers, you have a different types of buyers. So go ahead. You have buyers that you can do pre-construction with Sancher. You have buyers that may be wanting to just buy their first home. So first time home buyers. You can work with buyers who are relocating. So buyers in itself has multiple niches that you can kind of plug into. Sellers and listings, that's probably my favorite. But those of you who have done a listing with me, you'll see it's easier. It could be less work, but it's way more invasive. It's a bit more tedious. It's more stressful because of how much brain power you have to use, and you really have to like think for 3 other people. Short sale listings, I feel there's going to be an influx of these. What a short sale is, which is another thing you should probably research and be able to hit people with a did you know. A short sale listing is they're losing the property, they're behind on their mortgage, and the bank is gonna foreclose on it, but they call in a realtor and say, help me sell it. So we sell it and we get the bank's approval to take a loss. So let's just say they owe the bank $350, but it's only worth $300. We'll sell it for $300. The bank says that's fine. We'll just write off the $50 because we would have got less in a foreclosure auction. And they're going to pay you a commission. So you're free to that seller. So low hanging fruit, a good place to start, but you got to do the research and learn about it. Investor acquisitions, investors are going to give you probably 3 or 4 niches within them. You can do the vacation rentals for them, which I highly suggest because everyone's asking about it right now. It's new to everyone, so don't worry about being new. So just get good at identifying what a good vacation rental property is and make those posts, make those calls, and just say, did you know that an ideal vacation rental needs this, this, and this? Did you know that this property has no rental restrictions? Lennar is a good place. So when people ask about Airbnb, you can always bring them right back to Lennar and say, well, did you know that Lennar is a new home community that allows this? Referral agreements. Mac does a lot of referrals. You can get a whole living doing just referrals, just getting people that want to do something and referring them to other people and getting a 25% referral fee. What else we got here? Okay, this is something I was talking to Willard about today. I charge people 25% to renew their lease. Even if they're going to keep the same tenant in it, I say I'll renew the lease where I'm going to run some comps, tell you what it should be rented at versus what you're renting it at for, and 25% of the renewal rate is what I get. It's kind of like a enhanced way to get paid to do comps, but you're also writing a contract. You're writing a lease. And the lease rental turnaround service is something I'm trying to enact. I haven't come up with a price yet, but if you have a headache tenant, or if you have a property that's just run down, but you need to rent it, we will help you plug you in with the contractor, a maintenance crew. We'll get everything fixed up. If your tenants give you a pain, we'll help you get them out. We'll walk you through the eviction, or we'll walk you through just raising their rent. And it just kind of alleviates the issue. And then we plug ourselves in as property managers and get 10% from then on out. I feel like that is enough for now, but just so you see, there's a lot of different niches. You can also do VA loans where you work with people who work with the military, but just don't get out of the habit of just saying I'm a realtor. Learn to identify who you're talking to first and then plug in, I do this, just so you're more enticing.
I agree with that. That way it's easier for you to talk to your audience directly. Yeah. It seems easier to go live when you're talking right to them.
Right. Because you don't want to just get on like real estate talk. What do y'all want to talk about? It can even be on the same page. You're just doing different posts. Because remember what Sancho was saying, market yourself to a different audience, or the people, if this budget isn't working, market to people with a higher budget. She's not physically saying go to Aventura Mall and put a flyer up. She's just saying maybe you want to look better in your post, maybe put on a suit or a dress, maybe you're going to talk about certain points that are interesting to them, like vacation rentals, or like what the market is doing. Maybe you want to figure out how many properties are active in a certain area versus how many properties were active in this area 2 months ago, and just show that real quick. Show that on Instagram, show it on Facebook. Did you know there's 300 now when there were just 5? That's important, because again, the same way people are constantly asking you, more people are just thinking it but don't have anyone to ask yet. So if you get a frequently asked question from one person, you know to make it a post, right? Is there anything you guys want me to write the next training on now that you know, or do you want to just kind of, I mean, if no one knows, you could just write it later, but I would really like to.
Or do you want us to bring a lender on the next call too?
Honestly, Gabby said she was down. Gabby said she'd do it. And I think it would be good for y'all to meet Gabby, because that's what I was saying. Get in the habit of sending the contacts to the lender. Gabby will call whoever you send. You just say, hey, here's their number, here's their name, they're looking to do this. She'll call them and she'll talk to them, and then she'll always call you back and let you know how it went. If they don't answer, she'll say they didn't answer, so you can follow up and say, hey, call her back. And that you're working now.
All right, let us know, y'all.
Let us know.